be honest with you, there have been some seasons in the Cochrane house that feel like everything was a 5 or below on our life assessment, especially when the kids were young. We were building different businesses. We had a lot of financial stress. And in those years, it was particularly helpful to stop and count the fruit of what was working, because it didn't always feel like there was very much that was working, and to just get specific about maybe one area that we wanted to give more intentionality to. You can be wildly successful and completely off track at the same time. And most people don't find out until the cost is already too high. I know that you and I don't want to look back 10 years from now on this season with regrets about how we spent our money, or that we didn't spend more quality time with the kids, or invest in more friendships, or take better care of our health before it really started to tank. We don't want to look back on this season of life, of entrepreneurship, with regret. And if I could point to only one practice in my life that has kept our dual entrepreneur family to, both of us have our own different businesses. If I could point to only one practice in our lives that has kept our dual entrepreneur family on track and produced more intentionality and fruit than almost anything else, not just in business, but also in marriage, in family, in health, in finances, in friendships, in a lifestyle of peace, it would be what I'm going to share with you today. Graham and I have been doing this specific practice for at least 15 years, once or twice a year. We've done it in hotels. We've done it in the mountains. We've done it on the beach. We've done it on a back patio. We've done it on vacations. We've done it alone. We've done it together. We've done it occasionally with close friends. And I genuinely believe that if we stopped doing this, our lives would look radically different than the way they look today, and not in a good way. What is that practice, you ask? Well, let me share it. It is a simple whole life assessment that we regularly put ourselves through. Now, Graham and I started doing this when our kids were just little babies. It was first introduced to me by a good friend, Laura Casey, who created the Power Sheets Planner, went on to build Cultivate What Matters. And the premise was pretty simple. It was just that we need to take a regular, honest look at the key areas of our lives, right? Be truthful, honest with ourselves about what's working and what isn't working, and make changes accordingly. So as you can tell, this is going to be a really practical episode. This is just something that over 20 years of entrepreneurship, I would say is absolutely critical to the health of our family. Again, in a dual entrepreneur household with two very ambitious people, with kids. We're in a seasons of life with two girls who are both in high school, right? We have our activities, we have their activities, we have church involvement, we have friendships, we have community, we have lots of, resources and schedules that we're managing. Life is more complex than it ever has been. And this one practice has kept us on track and seeing good fruit in every single one of the areas that I'm going to share with you. So this is going to be a practical episode. I'm really excited. And I've shared this in other platforms before, and it's always been really impactful. People tend to come back and ask, what was it? I remember hearing you talk about this thing that you did. I heard about it 5 years ago, and you and Graham shared it somewhere, and we still do it. Or do you still have that resource? This has been just a really, really incredible practice for us, super transformative. And that's why I want to take a whole episode and just kind of talk with you about this practice that has had so much impact on us. So we started doing this whole life assessment. And if that sounds like it's going to be time consuming and, overwhelming, it's not. It's actually very, very simple to action on. You could do it in an hour. But we started to do it annually. Usually we would do it at the end of the year as we looked ahead at the next year. So usually we would get away as a family either like sometime over Christmas break. So sometime in like that December to early January timeframe. We are usually getting away as a family before the kids were there. Obviously it was just the two of us, but we would get away someplace that's going to give us some kind of time and space that we can just sit and decompress and talk and think and do this whole life assessment. But as our family grew and the pace of our life picked up, we realize that things start to drift off track really quickly, really easily. And once a year, doing this kind of once a year whole life assessment just wasn't going to be enough anymore, especially as your kids are in those early stages where so much about them and their development is growing and changing so quickly. From month to month, what worked can all of a sudden no longer work, especially if you're trying to balance motherhood and entrepreneurship at the same time. So we realized early on, like, hey, doing this once a year isn't even going to be enough for us. We really need to do this more than one time a year. And so we started to insert it kind of mid-year, usually over the summer when we're just on some kind of family vacation. We would build sort of a mid-year pass at this. So that we don't find ourselves drifting too far off track or finding one particular area of life really suffering month after month after month. So, and I'll be honest with you, in particularly full seasons, we may revisit this as much as every few months, right? We're sort of doing now this is so ingrained into the Cochrane culture. I mean, we have been doing this at least 15 years, at least once a year. It's so baked into kind of how we approach life that we're doing some kind of informal version of this at a very minimum of quarterly. It's just kind of a part of the conversations that we're having just to stay on track as two busy, ambitious entrepreneurs. So right now, at the time of recording this, we are in June, mid-year. And if you are listening to this, it is the perfect time for you to put this into practice. And listen, if you're listening to this 3 months later, it is a perfect time for you to put something like this into practice. But I love that we're at this mid-year mark. I'm doing this, and that's why this is top of mind for me, and I wanted to share it with you. So let's dig into what this can really look like for you. I'm going to walk you through it, this actual assessment, but after you listen to this episode, what I really want you to do is to go to illumnetwork.com/life and download the whole life assessment so that you can work through it yourself. I've already pre-created it for you because it's what I use year after year. So that's Illume Network, ILUME network.com/life. And that's where you can download this whole life assessment so that you can actually work through it. So I want you to go print it up, maybe print up a few copies, maybe print up one for you and your spouse. Heck, maybe even give one to your kids to do. They could probably do a version of this as well. But this is how it works, okay? The assessment works from 11 life sectors. Now, different thought leaders have different life sectors that they work off of when they're kind of leading through some kind of assessment like this. I've heard some people have 5, some people have 8. I've been doing this now, like I said, 15 years, and I have found that there's really 11 life sectors that I really want to keep a pulse on. Like I really want to have a temperature check that's periodic on all of these areas. So I feel like this one that we use after 15 years of doing it, that we've really perfected it to make sure that no important area of life is left behind. So I think, personally, I think ours is one of the more comprehensive. And I say ours because, it's very much Graham and I that have built off of what I told you that we worked through, that Laura Casey had created years and years ago. This kind of builds even off of what she has. But I think the one that we're working on now is one of the more comprehensive while also not being overwhelming, right? 11 life sectors is not a crazy amount. But for each of the life sectors, and I'll tell you the life sectors in a minute, you're going to give yourself a simple rating of 1 to 10, right? Just a simple numeric rating. A 1 means that this area is not thriving at all, right? Just there is no thriving happening in this area. That would be a rating of 1. And giving something a rating of 10 would mean that it is exactly the way you want it to be, right? It's healthy, it's working, it's flourishing, right? It is exactly the way you want it to be. That would be a 10 rating. So you're going to go through each of these 11 life sectors in this document that you're going to download. And after you rate each area, just scale of 1 to 10, you're going to make a few honest notes about why you gave it that number, okay? What is it that's working? What is it that isn't working? And why did you give it that score? All right. So I'm going to tell you the life sectors. If you're just sitting and listening, I don't know who does that, who just sits and listens to a podcast anymore. But if by some miraculous, you're not also multitasking, you can write these down. Otherwise, just don't worry about it and you can go and download this later. But the 11 sectors are sleep, physical health, marriage, or if you're not married, just if you're in a primary relationship, you can kind of use that section for that, like a serious dating relationship. Family life is one sector. Finances or money is one sector. Work is one sector. Leisure is one. Rest and stillness. Okay, that's different from sleep. We'll talk about why that is in a minute. Spiritual health, friendships. Friendships and community is one, friendships and community. And then mental and emotional health. That's one that I've grouped together, mental and emotional health. So let me walk through a few of these because some of them are worth really slowing down on. First, I would say sleep. Like, why is sleep on here? Most life assessments don't include sleep, which honestly is wild to me because sleep affects every single other area in your list, right? Every single one of those other life sectors is going to be affected by sleep. Your marriage is going to be affected by poor sleep. Your health is going to be affected. Your financial decisions are going to be affected. How you show up in friendships is going to be. Whether you go out or just always stay in is going to be affected by whether or not you are getting sleep. So if you're not getting consistent quality sleep, it's going to negatively impact everything else. And so I think, personally, that it deserves to be its own sector, and that we have to start here and we have to take care of this area. So I would just ask myself, okay, how's sleep going for me? And for me, my health target there is usually like 7 good hours of sleep a night. That's generally what I get, is 7 good hours of sleep a night. I am like so hardcore about getting to bed by 10 o'clock. We're usually lights out by 10 o'clock. And by hardcore, I just mean I'm really mega tired after 9 p.m. Partially because I wake up at 5 a.m. So by 9 p.m., I'm super tired. By 10, I am in bed, lights out, so that I can sleep, until 5, et cetera, et cetera. So sometimes at best, maybe I'll get 8 hours, but mostly 7, blackout curtains, just good, deep sleep, right? That's what we're aiming for. So that's sleep. And I have separated that out from physical health, even though those two things are very closely tied. But physical health, let's ask, how are you feeling in your body? Do you feel strong? Do you feel energetic? Do you feel like you have energy? Are you crashing every day by 2 p.m.? Are you able to be active? Are you active? Are you clear-headed? This does not have to mean, women, hear me on this, okay? This does not have to mean you're at your ideal weight. That is not what I'm asking here. I'm not asking if you're at your ideal weight. I'm not asking if you can fit back into your jeans from college. I'm asking today, how do you feel? How does your physical health feel? How do you feel in your body? I'm not asking if you're hitting every workout. It's just I just want you to honestly assess how your physical health is tracking, right? Physical health is not always in our control. And so this is not a moment for shame or blame or like, oh, I really know, like I shouldn't be eating as much potato chips or whatever it is. This is not a moment for shame. It's just an honest moment with yourself about where your physical health is at today, right? No shame, no self-shame, no judgment, just scale of 1 to 10, where are you at? Like, where are you at in terms of where you want to be? Next sector is marriage or primary relationship. So if you're married, then we're taking a minute to say, how's marriage going? If you're not married and you have a serious dating relationship, one that's moving toward marriage, or you're already actively engaged, then how is that going? On a scale of 1 to 10, is the relationship thriving? Is it exactly where you want it to be right now? Is there connection? Is there intimacy? Is there safety? Is there fun? Just honest assessment. Again, no shame attached here. We just want to honestly assess, how is marriage going? Like, how are we doing? How's it going? The next area would be family life. Do you feel connected and thriving as a family? Just scale of 1 to 10. Is there quality, intentional time together? I mean, some of the measures I'm using is there quality, intentional time together? Is there open communication? Is everyone being represented and cared for? Or is one of the kids kind of fading into the shadow of another kid and maybe their activities or their energy? Like, is everyone cared for? Are we connected? Is there communication? That's kind of the stuff I'm looking for. So how's family life going? Like, just how's it going? Finances, money, how's it going? This is an important one to understand correctly because I'm not asking, or the way when I'm doing this, I'm not assessing whether I'm making the amount of money that I want to be making. That's not what we're talking about here. What we're honestly assessing is whether with what I have, right, it's being managed well. Is there peace around finances in our home? Are there systems in place? Are we aware of what's happening financially? Are we connecting? Are we doing our monthly money meetings that Graham and I like to do that we tend to quickly skip? Are those happening? Are we being good stewards of what we have? Are we being as generous as we want to be? Is there fear or stress or disorganization in this area? Is there, this is something that we deal with, is just increasing complexity, right? I've got 3 businesses. He's got a business. We've got a rental property. We have multiple properties that we own. Like, there's just a lot of complexity to our financial situation. And we're always constantly trying to optimize for simplicity. Financially and just in life, we're trying to optimize for simplicity. So we're kind of touching base on that. Like, financially, is there just too much complexity for us? So scale of 1 to 10, how are we doing with money? All right. And then we got work in here. And I actually do, as most of you do, a separate mid-year business assessment, right? Like, where are we tracking going into Q3? What needs to be true? What do we need to pivot from? Like, are we on target for our goals? And I'm not doing that here. The beauty of this is that we're showing that work sits amidst 11 other life sectors. It is not your whole life. It is a small part of what makes up your life. So I'm here asking you to look at work in the context of your whole life, right? Okay, in the context of everything, I get to work, right? Do I love what I'm doing? Do I have healthy limits and boundaries around it? Is my work a blessing to our family, or is it a source of tension and stress, right? There have been seasons where my work has been a source of tension, or it's been a source of stress in our home. So I'm asking, like, what's happening right now? Big picture, 1 to 10, where do I rate how work is going? Is it the way I want it to be, or are there changes needed? Leisure. Okay. It's another life sector. Now, I'm going to be honest. This one consistently rates low for Graham and I. Consistently rates low. Guys, if you are fun people and you live in the Tampa area, will you please call us and invite us to do your fun things? Because we are just not like the fun people. We are the deep, intentional people. We want to be fun. We really want to be fun. But we're both like oldest child type A. We're both wired for productivity. We've got our businesses. Like, we read a lot of self-help books. Like, we're those types of people. We're not naturally the funnest person in the world, right? If you get into the Enneagram, I envy the Enneagram 7 because I'm just the extreme opposite of that. We're not the funnest people in the room. So we have to be intentional about pursuing fun. And we're always like really proud of it. It's like, babe, we did a fun thing. Like, we planned a fun activity. We genuinely have to work at it. It's pretty ridiculous. So if this one is low for you, then you're in good company. But just in general, how's leisure going? Do you have hobbies? Do you have fun? Do you do something weekly that just not work? I know that's great that you love your work, but do you go do anything fun with people that are fun? Do you laugh? Like, do you do fun stuff as a family? Like, what does leisure look like for you? And then separate from that is rest and stillness. And I'll tell you why it's separate from that. I separate this from leisure and I separate this from sleep. Because rest and stillness is really different. This is the extent to which you have regular, intentional, contemplative quiet in your day or week. Now, some of you just like threw up a little bit in your mouth because the thought of just sitting still, undistracted from your phone, not looking at anything, listening to anything just sounds awful. You're like, I just couldn't do it. I couldn't do it, right? Most people just say, I couldn't do it. But it is so important. I'm not even going to get into the science behind why your brain needs stillness and active rest, right? Time when you're not sleeping, but you are quiet, still, and contemplative. You're undistracted. Your brain, your emotions need this kind of downtime to regulate well. This can be time spent in the Word. This can be time spent in prayer, in journaling. That's usually what it looks like for me. For Graham, he likes to go on 2-hour walks. Like he can often just be found on a 2-hour walk. It's when he just kind of can be the most quiet with himself, and he doesn't listen to podcasts or anything like that during that time. He just lets his brain quiet down. But this is just time where you are simply being still internally, if not also externally. You're being alone with your own thoughts. You're listening. When does this happen for you right now? And does it happen regularly? Do you have built-in protective time where you allow this to happen? You protect that. And if your honest answer is nope, that doesn't happen, then that's important information. And obviously, season of life is going to play a big part in what that looks like for you. Because if you're a mom at home with 5 kids and you're also running a business, then yeah, that kind of time is going to be hard to come by. It's not impossible. I know plenty of women off the top of my head who have a house full of children and a thriving, successful business that have built in absolutely critical times of stillness into their day. One of my dear friends, she literally closes herself in her closet, like in her clothing closet, closes herself in there. And she has very set time in there where she's just talking to the Lord. She's journaling, she's listening, but she has learned to regulate, to turn off her phone, to get off of Instagram, because she has so much stimuli, so much demanding on her. She's an incredible business coach. This is a woman with big ambition, and also an incredible mother. Her husband is a pastor, so she's also a pastor's wife. This is a woman with a lot going on, and she's one of the best women I know at creating times of rest and stillness. And it's just beautiful. It's really beautiful. So, just scale of 1 to 10, where is that at? That's all we're asking. Just be honest with yourself. Nobody has to ever see this unless you choose to share it. Separate from that is spiritual health. And what I'm asking myself in that is just am I connecting with God? Am I regularly connecting with God? Is there a sense of friendship and intimacy there? Or does that relationship feel distant and dry? And hey, guys, we're all going to go through seasons like that. There's going to be times where you're I'm not hearing God speak. Is he even there? I don't know. I just feel like I'm talking into the void, right? I feel my prayers are hitting the ceiling and falling back down. I'm not enjoying my time in the Word. All of these are, unfortunately, can be a normative experience over the lifetime of you walking with the Lord is dry season. But we at the very least have to be honest about those things. But I'll ask myself, am I in His Word? Am I developing spiritual disciplines? Am I challenging my brain? Am I just ingesting the verse of the day? When was the last time I did an in-depth study on a book of the Bible? Do I feel like I'm growing in my relationship with Him? And I just give an honest number, scale of 1 to 10, where it feels like it's at right now. It is not compared to some kind of picture of perfection that I've seen somewhere, or I think somebody else online experiences, but just in my walk with where I would like to be and where I am. Where am I at? Scale of 1 to 10. Friendships and community. This is a really big one. I think entrepreneurs tend to really struggle here because we have filled our lives so full that friendships just fall through the cracks, right? If something's got to go, then we let friendships and community go, right? We let church attendance go. We let small group attendance go. We let lunch with a friend go. We keep meaning to, right? Oh, we should get together. We should get together. We keep meaning to have people over for dinner, but it just falls through the cracks. And the reality is, again, scientifically, the research on longevity is unambiguous about this. Deep friendships and community are essential to our mental and physical health. Do you have people who fully know you? Are you actively a part of a community? Are you a part of your church? Are you do you know your neighbors, right? Is there something that connects you to people beyond just work and family? Do you have deep friendships? Are you cultivating those friendships? Do you have community? And so this is what I'm asking myself. And there have absolutely been seasons when it's not fun, and these things probably go hand in hand. The seasons where we don't have a lot of fun are also tend to be the seasons we don't have a lot of friendships and community happening. So those two things can be very closely tied. And then we get to the last one being mental and emotional health, right? Mental and emotional health is just your internal world, right? How stable and regulated do you feel? What are your anxiety levels like day to day? Do you have a healthy way to process what you're feeling? Are you able to communicate it with the people around you? Do you need a counselor or some kind of support there? This one can be genuinely hard to self-assess, right? We may or may not even know how we're doing mentally and emotionally. For some of us, that's easier to assess than others. If you don't naturally have a very high EQ, then you may not really be super self-aware of how you're doing. And so you might actually need to ask your spouse or a close friend for their honest input before you assign it a number. So do that if you need to, right? But we're just giving it like an honest assessment scale of 1 to 10. Like, how am I doing? There are 3 basic things that are absolutely critical to business growth if you're a Christian entrepreneur. Number 1, you need the mentorship of high caliber women who are ahead of you in business. Number 2, you need mastermind level collaboration, strategic collaboration with other ambitious, values aligned peers. And you need the truth and the strategies and the spirit led insights that God has for you. If you don't have these 3 things in place, I just want to invite you to check out Illume Network. Illume is a faith-based entrepreneurial network for 6, 7, and 8-figure Christian female entrepreneurs who are looking for that kind of high-level mentorship, strategic collaboration with peers, and kingdom business strategy to guide their business growth. If you are building something meaningful and you're done doing it alone, I hope that you'll head to illumenetwork.com to learn more and consider applying, because this is the room that you have been looking for, and I would love to see you there. Okay, so at this point, you've gone through all 11 areas on your mid-year life assessment, and you've given each one just a quick scale of 1 to 10 honest rating. Now what? Okay, so here's the rule of thumb that Graham and I have developed over the years with this. We personally, the Cochrans, want every area of life operating above a 7. Okay? Not perfect. We don't need it to be all 10s. Perfection is not the goal, and perfection in any of these areas is really not realistic because you are a human. You are not a robot, and you're a sinful human at that, and you're surrounded by sinful humans. So chances are, in a broken world, it's not going to be perfect. It's not going to be 10 out of 10. So that's not the point. The point is not a 10 out of 10 like report card. But we want all areas to be operating at above a 7, which means mostly healthy, right? It's mostly being tended to. It's mostly being cultivated. It's trending in the right direction. So we look at the areas related to the highest scores. So we look at those areas that we scored the highest, and we celebrate those things like, yay, good job, Graham and Shay. And then we look at those areas that are the lowest, right? And we kind of circle those areas like, okay, these are the areas that are going to need focused attention and care right now. And here's where most people go wrong with this kind of work. They look at 5 or 6 areas that need work and they think, okay, I'm going to set goals for all of these areas. I'm going to improve everything all at the same time. And what happens is that their time and their energy gets spread way too thin, and they end up making minimal progress on any of those areas. And then they give up the whole idea of intentionality because it just doesn't seem to work for them, right? They've just tried to fix too much, too many areas of life all at one time, and there's no real stability, health stability, and healthier habits and patterns that get built in so that you can then move on to another area that needs attention. So instead of the tendency to, we're going to improve all 5 or 6 of these areas that are below, whatever the benchmark is for you, what we're going to do is we're just going to identify the 1 or 2 absolute lowest areas, and we're going to pour our effort and energy into those. And we're just going to let the other areas coast for this season, right? We're just going to let those other areas that need tending to, we're just going to let them be. And for the next 90 days, the next 3 months, the next 6 months, we're going to focus just on these lowest ranking areas. every single one of those areas matter. So we don't want to just let one continue to suffer year after year, or every time you do this assessment, just years pass and you've never developed friendships and community, right? All of these things, all 11 life sectors, contribute to a whole thriving life. So if one area is really suffering, it does deserve our full attention until it's back to health. But we just can only we can't only really make progress in one or two at a time. So if family life, for example, is your lowest area, then the next step doesn't really need to be complicated. It might just be, all right, we're going to aim for 4 family dinners a week, right? We're going to put our phones away after 7 p.m. Oh my gosh, it's so funny. Graham bought this little phone safe to go downstairs. It kind of looks like a little electronic phone coffin. And it sits in our guest room. And in the evening, we're supposed to be putting our phones, I say supposed to be putting our phones in this little phone safe so that we are all just actively together after 7 p.m. This could be that you decide that we're going to do one fun family outing a month, or we're going to get back to having a standing regular date night, right? You know your family better than anybody else. So this is not about doing what you see other people doing. This is just about what is needed for you all in this season. What's it going to take to thrive in this current season? And you just need to decide what it needs and then commit to it consistently. For some areas, you're going to see results pretty quickly, right? If we just start going to bed, stop watching Netflix till 2 a.m, if we can just commit as a family, let everybody know we're going to be going to bed, lights out at 10 now, and start doing it. I bet you're going to feel immediately better. Those are going to be some quick results that you're going to see. Same thing if you just start going to the gym, right? Some areas you're going to see results pretty quickly. You're going to feel them. For others, though, especially relationships, it might take 3 months before 3 months of consistent investment before you really notice a difference or really start to see the fruit. But at least you know that every decision you're making is moving you in the right direction, right? And that's why I think this is worth doing more than once a year, because when you revisit this every 6 months or quarterly, if life is especially full, then you stay close enough to awareness of what's going on in your own life that you can catch the drift before it turns into any real damage. And, now you've just been living with your spouse as a roommate for 2 years now, right? And there's real damage that has been done. And I'll be honest with you, there have been some seasons in the Cochran house that feel like everything was a 5 or below on our life assessment, especially when the kids were young. We were building different businesses. We had a lot of financial stress. If you guys know our story, we were planting a church. We moved 1,000 miles away from all of our family and friends. We had a new mortgage, a new baby. We had no money. We were still very much learning marriage, right? And then we brought a baby into that, and we're learning how to be parents. And in those years, it was particularly helpful to stop and count the fruit of what was working, because it didn't always feel like there was very much that was working. And to just get specific about maybe one area that we wanted to give more intentionality to. And it really was so encouraging, because we could look at maybe 10 of the areas we're suffering, but one area, we're but that area, we're super dialed in on that one. And you have to stop and celebrate that. But instead of just trying to fix everything all at once, it really helped us to be able to say okay, it just feels like life is crazy right now, but let's just work on marriage. That's just going to be our one thing. For the next 90 days, we're going to do a date night every Tuesday night. We're just going to lock in a babysitter. We locked in a girl who's 14 years old in the neighborhood. Her mom used to drive her over. And it was just listen, we just want you to be at our house every Tuesday. Whether you get a text from us that date night is happening or not, we just want you to show up. We're just going to contract out for every Tuesday. You probably got nothing going on a Tuesday. Just show up at our house at 6:30 every Tuesday. And we would sometimes just go for a walk, go ride a bike, and we didn't even have money to go out to dinner during some seasons. We would just go to Barnes & Noble and stare at each other But, we would say like, life feels crazy. Let's just focus on this one thing. Let's just dial in this one thing instead of trying to fix everything. So there's definitely been seasons where everything was like below a 5 out of 10. And then there have also been other seasons where everything was over a 7, which we would consider that a big win. And those seasons have really been about maintaining the fruit that we're experiencing. And I feel like we're in that kind of season now as our girls have gotten older. And I promise you, the only reason why we're here is because of the work that we did all of these years of honestly assessing how things were going, how we were really doing, being honest about how we were really doing in all those areas, and making small changes in the areas that mattered the most to us, one at a time. But just keep asking the question, how are we really doing in this area? And being honest, and then making those like small shifts to bring that area of health into a better spot, in that sector of life into more health. So that is I absolutely attribute the health that we're experiencing across, I would say, 11 sectors, not perfectly at all. So don't hear me there. But I think we've been in a season these past few years where it feels like the work is paying off. The routines and habits and culture that we've created in our home, our work-life boundaries, like our sort of ethos and all the training of the kids that we did year after year. We're starting to see it pay off, and a lot of areas are over a 7. And it's just because of that. It's because of the grace of God, first and foremost, right? This could be completely different than it is right now. So don't hear me say that it's just we've just done a great job. But I will say that the intentionality has gotten us pretty far, because it's just helped us to keep a pulse on things, right? Before too much time passes and we haven't even stopped to ask how we're really doing. And I think that this has helped us to build, this type of assessment has helped us to both build businesses that support our lives, fit into our lives, and not build lives that are just there to support the business, right? Like I'll have time off when the business doesn't need it. I'll, go to the gym when the business doesn't need me so much. I'll spend more time with the kids when my team doesn't need me so much. We're through this transitional season, but like right now, I just really need to be in Slack all the time. This has helped us to build businesses that serve our lives and not lives that serve our businesses. So here's what I want you to do. If you want to, here's the invitation. Go to illumnetwork.com/life. ILUME. Yes, I decided to spell that wrong. Go to illumnetwork.com, ILUME network.com/life, and download this assessment for yourself. Print it out. If you're married, print out a copy for your spouse too. And here's the key. If you do it with your spouse, which I highly recommend, each of you fill it out separately without sharing your answers yet. Okay, fill it out separately, independently, and then all the way, like the scale of 1 to 10, and then why you gave it that rating, right? What's working, what isn't. And then come together and sit and read through what you both wrote without arguing, without correcting. Like everyone's entitled to their opinion. This is basically just asking how it feels, right? So don't correct your spouse. Don't be like, no, we really are actually doing a really good job in that. Like, no, if they don't feel like that it's going very well, then there's something that you've got to tease out there. So the conversation that is going to follow is often going to be the most valuable part of this whole thing, is just the conversation that it's going to bring out in the two of you as you work through these areas and say, oh, well, this feels like this to me. Wow, okay, I didn't realize that. It feels like this to me. And then you decide together what you're going to work on next. So put a block on your calendar for an hour max sometime in the next week. And I would just say, like, don't plan this for someday. Like, do this week and then hold on to it. Hold on to this life assessment, because this is going to be something that you can come back to. It's twice a year at minimum, right? That's my recommendation. Twice a year at minimum. It's one of the most loving things that you can do for yourself and for your family, is to actually pay attention to your own life and ask how it's really going. How are we really doing before you are 100 miles down a road that you do not actually want to be on, right? It's wild. Graham and I talk about this all the time, and then I'll stop rambling. But It's wild how much we say, I'm just going to work really hard and life's going to be kind of crazy right now so that I can get to this later, right? So that I can have more time with the kids later, so that I can have peace later, so that I can have freedom later, so that I can travel more later. And what's wild, and we've both seen this to be true in the business coaching that Graham has done and the coaching that I've done, is so often what we want, what we say we're working towards, that we're deferring, right? We're just going to work really hard right now. It's going to be scramble and everything's going to suffer so that we can get that thing. That thing is usually available right now. It's crazy. It's actually usually available to us right now. So my encouragement to you is just to stop and pay attention to the life that you're building, right? I would love to hear what surfaces for you when you do this. So come find me on Instagram at Shay Cochran or at Illume Network and send me a DM. Like, tell me as you did this assessment, which areas surprised you the most or which one you're just committing to focus on. I genuinely want to know. And listen, most people are so busy building a life that they never actually stop to look at it. They're just so busy building a life, they never stop to look at it. You are not one of those people. Because you're going to do this. Your life is worth an hour of time. Give it that hour. All right. Okay. I'm going to pray over you real quick. Lord, thank you for this challenge to just take an honest look at how life is really going. Would you give us bravery and honesty and the ability to, just actually sit with ourselves and sit with the reality of what is without shame and without judgment, without regret, just to honestly identify how things are right now in each of these areas. And then I pray for just the conversations that are going to happen between spouses as women bring this to their husband, as husbands bring this to their wives and say like, hey, can we just do this kind of weird thing, this life assessment thing Shay was talking about? I pray for unity and breakthrough in these conversations that are going to ensue when they do this. I pray against frustration and dissension and disunity and judgment or a feeling of needing to be defensive. And I just pray your peace. You say that where there is unity, that's where you command the blessing. And so I just pray unity over any marriage that's going to do this type of mid-year assessment. That you would unify them and that there would be real, true transformational breakthrough as a result of just taking the moment to assess and ask how we are really doing, how things are really going. Thank you, Lord, that you meet us wherever we're at. Thank you that it is not about performance or perfection. It is not about a all A report card, but it is about peace and joy and hope and rich lives that are thriving as business owners, but also just as humans. So I just ask you to help us walk this out, Lord. Would this really create the changes that you are inviting us into? Remind us that change is possible. Bring to our mind like creativity and problem solving as we identify what different areas of our lives need. We just ask for your hand of blessing over the finances of these listeners, over the businesses, over the marriages, over the families, over the friendships of these listeners, Lord. Would you just continue to lead them? Would your favor just be all over what they're doing? Your goodness and mercy, would it follow them, Lord? We pray all of this in the sweet name of Jesus. Amen. Okay, I hope that you've enjoyed this episode. A little bit of a diversion from what we typically do, but, I'm trying to keep it a mix of practical things that we've found to work over 20 years of dual entrepreneurship. So I hope this has been a blessing to you. Would you share it if it has been? Go download that assessment, illumenetwork.com/life. Excited to get that in your hands, and I will see you on the next episode.